mean, let's shift our focus over to the U.S. Soccer Awards that are coming up and the nominees that we have for both men and the women, boys.
Did Landon Donovan win again for the men?
No, I think every award is called the Landon Donovan Award now in some sort of way that adds like 13 words to the name of every award. Deservedly so, because he was notoriously underpaid in his career for what he did for the league and for U.S. soccer. So name every award after him as a consolation. Anyways, let's get to these nominees. Des, if you want to throw one up, we'll talk through it. Jimmy, get your take on this. And any of you guys that are just tuning in or have been watching the whole time, we appreciate all of you. Keep those comments coming and make sure that you're subscribed and like. That helps more people get this in their feed so that they can come join these conversations. And don't forget, we do the USMNT Hour every single Monday at this time or within an hour of this time. So make sure your notifications are on so you can join us in this conversation, because come 2026, Jimmy, this is going to be the sickest show ever. We're going to be on. We're going to be everywhere. And Des is going to be leading the way for us. Our producer, Des, is the one that put this show together, and it's allowing us to vent on things we've had built up for decades, which I don't know if he's going to live to regret.
It's a Kick TV throwback for all you Kick TV fans out there.
It really is. It really is. Jimmy and I had 16 days when we first started at Kick TV to work together before he had to move on to another show, and I had to get thrown to the wolves with big open eyes, working off of a teleprompter. Anyways, we'll tell that story another day too. But listen, here are the nominees for, and this is like the Oscars reading. Here are the nominees for the Young Male Athlete of the Year award. Is that the exact name?
Young Male Young Player of the Year.
Male Young Player of the Year.
So 5 nominees. I'm sure they could have done 6. I know that they did 6 for the men, or the non-young male player of the year, and only 5 for the women. So I guess we can talk about that in a sec. But it's really it's between Yunus Musah and Ricardo Pepi, and it's difficult because I feel like Yunus Musah has really solidified his spot as our ideal, or one of the spots in our ideal midfield 3 with McKennie and Adams. And I really love the way that he plays, and that he tries to solve a lot of his problems with running with the ball. And it more often than not, it works out. But sometimes it leads to trouble. And I feel like every time he stepped on the field, I could see that his game was getting a little bit better, and he's getting a little bit smarter with how he should play and where he should move and how to make a difference. And I like him. He's a problem solver. And I like how he thinks about the game and how he plays it, of course. Ricardo Pepi, though, might get the nod here because goal scorers usually get the nod over holding midfielders or box-to-box guys or defenders. And Pepi did end up being the catalyst for our best half, I think, so far in qualifying, the second half against Honduras. Those goals potentially saved Greg Berhalter his job, because if we had not played well at the back end of that, or if we had lost in Honduras, because we were down 1-0 at half, then we could be talking about a much different set of circumstances around the U.S. men's national team. But I think Ricardo Pepi's probably going to have enough here to get this award, because those goals, I think, were so vital. But I wouldn't be surprised if Yunus Musah got it, and I would be happy if he did.
I agree with you. I think, Jesus Ferreira is a late addition to this. Had a good season. Again, called in late to the national team, still so young. Didn't have the year this season, actually, that we expected him to from last season. So it took him a while to get going, but finished the year pretty strong. Ricardo Pepi did not finish the year at the club level super strong in terms of goal scoring. Had a little bit of a foot injury. Right. I believe he sliced his foot open and had to get stitches on it. And that probably slows down a little bit of that progress. Just when you have something like that, it's a little bit harder to do. Yunus Musah, same thing. Weirdly, doesn't play every game at Valencia, but when I think about him on the field for the U.S. national team, he's probably number 1 or 2 in terms of who's starting for me. His ability to threaten lines on the dribble, his confidence on the ball. There's a confidence on the ball, and then there's just this belief that I'm better than you and you can't stop me that he has, that I just go, man, this guy is fun to watch. And his percentage of being able to do things that normally when he does them, I look at us and I go, oh no, here comes a turnover. And he does it. And he does it again and again and again. In terms of dribbling or passing, I'm like, this is amazing. George Bello and Busio's been great in Serie A, to be honest with you. And I think he's had his ups and downs with the national team, but is continuing to develop. But if I have to give this one to one person, I agree with you, Jimmy, on the storylines of Yunus Musah for the national team has been fantastic, has a crazy upside. But Ricardo Pepi is just the thing. Even if you were to hold the fact that he's not scoring in his last couple of games for the national team against him, he's still the thing that potentially saved this qualifying campaign, that changed the trajectory, that changed the conversation when everything was heading south towards, no, it's 2018 all over again. Sir Ricardo Pepi came in and the Pepi train started, and he's brought us back to something. And while he's not scoring, I think he's been a great player on the field, contributing to the team and the results that the team is getting, and doing a lot of the little dirty work that I don't think the strikers were doing previously.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Pepi will win it. And it seems like everybody's on the same page that Musah won it. All right, cool. We'll be stoked for him. But Ricardo Pepi, big goals matter, man. And he scored a couple big goals that I think really changed the direction, as you mentioned, of how we were playing and the little things that maybe our previous forwards weren't doing as much. And the hard part now is, can he live up to that standard that he set for himself? Because he came out of the gates firing. He's absolutely flying right now. And now I think there's a bit of a struggle, right? You get out of that window, you kind of come back to earth, and then you go back to FC Dallas, and the hype train is real, and you're just riding the wave, but at some point it's going to be harder. People are going to start marking you tighter. It's, you play Jamaica the second time, and they're not going to let you breathe or have any space because they know who you are and what you're about now. And I think that's the next kind of iteration and, evolution of Ricardo Pepi's game.
If we were talking about the player that has to have the next 12 months, it's going to be Ricardo Pepi, right? He's requested a transfer. They're saying now Roger Gonzalez, CBS man, is talking about that they've already exceeded the $12 million mark for him. It's a transfer that I think is well above what you should be paying for him, a player like that. And they should be cashing in on this hype that they have. But the next 12 months from there, wherever he ends up, is the most important of any of the players on the national team, because we can rotate a number of those players in and out. Musah doesn't play. Okay. We can find somebody that can do a decent job in there. But replacing Ricardo Pepi in the next 12 months, and if it's not going to be your Daryl DK or your Jordan Pefok, that has me the most worried going into a World Cup. So he has to have the biggest year after a transfer out, which I know there's one pending. Let's take a look at the Female Player of the Year nominees.
Wow, that was very formal.
Nominees? You like the nominees now? Pretty solid, huh?
Yeah.
So here we've got, I'm just going to say it here. For me, and I know I've got recency bias, but Trinity Rodman has been absolutely fantastic and has just changed the dynamic of that team, which were an unlikely team to go on and win a championship. I'm talking about Washington Spirit. She's top of my list. Obviously, Katerina Macario, less exposure because of where she plays her club ball. But is there anybody on this list, Jimmy, that you think is an under? By the way, the reason we were missing the sixth on that last one was because it should have been David Ochoa, Jimmy. David Ochoa would have been the young goalkeeper of the year, but he chose.
You think?
He chose Mexico. No way,
man.
No way. But I really do like him being sort of the narrative of like this
villain.
Sort of villain. It's amazing. I love it.
We need more villains in the league, to be honest, in MLS. But let's focus on here the young female player of the years. Trinity Rodman led NWSL in assists this season with 6. She also pitched in with 6 goals. Arguably, she was the best player in the final against the Chicago Red Stars for the Washington Spirit, helped them win their first ever title. That's a very big deal.
Natalie Cross says Rodman, next list of nominations, please. Like
well, I appreciate that.
Straight up.
I say, she plays for all of our youth national teams and played well for our U20s in the Concacaf U20 Women's Championship. The future for her is very bright, as is Macario. Emily Fox, I thought she was the number 1 pick in the NWSL draft this last season. She played in 4 of the women's national team's 6 fall friendlies so far during the Carli Lloyd farewell tour. She won in the last game against Australia. She was the Budweiser player of the match. So, she's got an upside too. And Jalen Howe, she won the MAC trophy, which is the Heisman, Herman trophy. It's like the Heisman for college soccer. And Mia Fischel, she plays for UCLA. Let's go Bruins. And she just crushed it. She had 12 goals and 5 assists before announcing that she's going to turn professional this upcoming winter. All these women are incredibly talented. I think Trinity Rodman stands out just a smidge more than the others. But I cannot wait to see all these girls burst onto the scene and really blow it up for the U.S. women's national team.
Yeah, I love it. I love everybody's comments on this. A lot of people leaning just like us towards Trinity Rodman. Obviously, again, was by far the best player in the playoffs. And then if you just saw her at moments in the season, she can take on an entire team on the ball, on the dribble, on the fly, verticality, all those things. She's just got so much to her game that weren't expected earlier on in the season. You saw flashes, but with that, when you see that come together, it's the same sort of things that we're seeing with Ricardo Pepi. When a young player starts to put all those pieces together that you see in flashes and bunches, you start to realize that potential that we saw in them, and you start to see almost a star in the making, which is incredible. Who's our next list of nominees? Des Norris? Are we?
We need a drum roll. Drum roll.
Yeah. Here is our nominees for Female Player of the Year.
Let's do female first. Ladies first.
All right. Here we go. Jimmy, that was a good drum roll. It hurt me.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is interestingly enough, a wide range of usual suspects, but in different ways, right? Carli Lloyd, her just finished her send-off series. We're seeing her on her way out of the game, a legend of the game, somebody so committed and has done so much, and also has just the absolute clutch gene for the national team, as much as anybody has in the history of the game on the U.S. side. Megan Rapinoe, a thought leader, an incredible athlete, a Portland pilot just like myself, your best friend, Jimmy, as we've all known for decades.
Yes.
Alyssa Nair, obviously a fantastic goalkeeper and another clutch goalkeeper. And then Rose Lavelle, Lindsay Horan. These are just, I mean, funny enough, when I think about the contributions at the club and national team level on the women's side, it is so much harder for me to pick a single person because our team is full-blown superstars.
Yeah,
every single one of them, right? Whereas, like, we're seeing peaks and valleys of all of our players, and we see good players on the men's side, but on the women's side, these are the best players in the world. And separating them by position is hard enough, just because now you're comparing apples to oranges when you start to be positional, right? And it makes it really hard. Is there anybody on this list that you're set on winning this for you?
I'm probably going with anonymity anymore. I think Lloyd and Dan Kane, I think she's definitely going to win. She scored 11 goals, which led the team in 2021. She also had a team high, or she tied it, 6 assists. And she tied the record for the most goals in a game. I mean, it's what's crazy is you want to just kind of give it to her as a lifetime achievement award. But she's also got the numbers in 2021 to back it up with leading the team in goals and assists. And yes, she scored 5 against the Paraguay team. That wasn't great, but you still got to hit the ball in the back of the net. You can only play the opponent that's in front of you, and she did that to great effect. And I feel like Carli Lloyd's probably going to win. I'm just a little disappointed that there's no Crystal Dunn. She's not included, at least as a nominee. Lynn Williams, I think, maybe even deserves a shout, who didn't even get called in for the Olympic team until very late. And then she went in there and held her own and scored some big goals. And then Kristen Press, I think, is another one that probably deserved to be on this nominee list. And maybe that's why they only went with 5.
She's on hiatus. You going?
I know she's on hiatus, but you know,
she's on the walkabout. You know, like,
well, you know what? Maybe she's the best that we have to do walkabouts. Okay.
Yeah.
Heath?
To be fair, I do respect that, because if we're giving Carli Lloyd, and though it is performance based, it's also her send off. It's also an emotional voting, because if you're me, I'm going with Rose Lavelle, like Natalie Cross said, just because and they had another comment said because she's got techers. I remember sitting and watching all the games when I was at the Women's World Cup, just going like, I'm here to watch Rose Lavelle. That is it. That is the only person I want to see on the field. Just get the ball and just be so calm. And she's just such a chill person. I don't know. She's just mad.
No, fair with Rose Lavelle. I'll say this. I found a fun fact about her. Mm-hmm. She's accounted for 4 of the national team's 18 game-winning goals since the team resumed play in November 2020. So the last year, she has scored 4 game-winning goals out of 18 possible. She's got something to her. She played in 22 matches this year. She's got 5 goals in total, and 4 of them are match winners. So there's something about Rose Lavelle that I really appreciate as well. I just think that it'll go to Carli Lloyd.
Yeah, I agree. Wait, who was the other one that you said?
Lynn Williams, Crystal Dunn.
Oh yeah, Crystal Dunn is just a positional one. Let's be honest, Jimmy. Defenders have never gotten the respect, and I know Crystal Dunn can play in every position on the field. By the way, she's
probably our best player pound for pound. By the way, I just want to throw that out there. That because she's so versatile and can be successful in any position you play, that really speaks to her quality. I just want to give a shout out to Crystal Dunn.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So let's move on to the male player of the year nominees. It's getting better, huh? It's getting better. I said no drum roll.
Too late.
Here we go. What I love about this, before we even talk about them, is when we talk about young players of the year, these guys are all still almost young players of the year. I don't know if we've had a young player of the year nominee on the same time as a player of the year nominee. That may have been Christian Pulisic at one point, was on both. Won one and didn't get the other. I can't remember if there was somebody that was on both or should have been on both and wasn't, but they were still young enough to be. But this list, man, this one's again, they do such a good job, U.S. Soccer, and I don't know who votes for this, but of just spreading out the reasons to vote, right? You've got Christian Pulisic, because he's Christian Pulisic, plays at Chelsea, Champions League winner, but also gets injured a lot. You have Miles Robinson, bursts onto the scene. A sure player in the roster if the World Cup were today. Matt Turner, who nobody expected, now puts himself in the conversation to be the starter for a World Cup team. Brenden Aaronson, same thing. People didn't know if he could make that jump to Europe. Now he does. Now he's one of the best players in his group in the Champions League. Obviously a star for his team. Kellyn Acosta, another player who no one saw for a couple of years. And then now, he'd be my comeback player at the moment because he was out after the Bruce Arena ending of 2018 cycle. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, comes back better than ever. And then Weston McKennie plays for Juventus and Serie A. It's just kind of this wide range of not one player that's the clear answer, at least in my book. Jimmy, are you leaning one way here?
This is a tough one. I agree with a lot of people that are watching us live, and I'm sure people that are listening as well. This is a really tough one to call. Matt Turner, obviously fantastic. He won the award for the best goalkeeper in the Gold Cup. We only gave up 1 goal in 6 games. Miles Robinson was a part of that, and he scored the game winner against Mexico in the final. Obviously has really moved up and taken his opportunities to become the first choice for me, center back of our center back pairings. And I'm excited to see his continued growth. And as a former number 12 of the U.S. men's national team, I'm happy to see that number continue in a positive way. Christian Pulisic is interesting because he missed a lot of time, but when he comes back and plays, he's so influential. Obviously scoring the match winner in the Dos a Cero game in Cincinnati, World Cup qualifying, scoring in the Nations League final, and that penalty with the famous photo without his shirt on and shushing everybody. All that stuff's awesome, But Weston McKennie, he won it last year. Obviously, he had that game tying goal against Mexico in the Nations League to even send it into extra time for Pulisic to have those heroics. And when he plays and he's on and he's focused, he's such an influential player for us and scored the second goal in the Dos a Cero game. So I can get why those two guys are involved. Kellyn Acosta, I think that's just out of respect for the number of matches he played. He played 20 games for the U.S. in 2021. That is wow. That's the most.
Was that more
games.
than Legit?
More than a Legit. He was the most by any player, and the most by any player since Landon Donovan did the same in 2002. So something to take into consideration there.
Louise.
But there's something about Brenden Aaronson. He's got 4 goals and 3 assists in 2021. That's the most goal contributions combined by any player in the pool. And obviously he's come out of nowhere. I honestly, you can make a strong case for a lot. Pulisic's already won this twice before. I could see them trying to spread the love maybe to somebody else. I would love Miles Robinson as a center back to do it. Has he done enough there? It's hard as a center back to make that. Matt Turner's not even our first choice in qualifying at the moment. So I could see where, that could be used against him in some ways. Yeah. Costa's not going to win it. I think they just wanted to show him respect for what he's done and just made him a nominee. So I really feel like it's probably between Brenden Aaronson and Christian Pulisic. And I don't know, it's wide open from there. I would lean towards Aaronson because I think we leaned on him a lot, especially when Pulisic was hurt, to step up and do the job. And I thought he did. And I think that was to the surprise of many people. And now we're looking at him as a possible starter, even though I think when everybody's healthy, he's probably our super sub. And I think he'd be cool with that. But I think he stepped up when we needed him. And that speaks a lot about what he's capable of.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with.
I don't know. It's tough. I can see Pulisic. I'd be like, all right, go with Pulisic. But and Miles Robinson. I'd love Miles Robinson. But I think Aaronson might shade this just a smidge.
It's weird because Tyler Adams is not on that list.
Yes. Why isn't Tyler Adams on the list?
It's weird that
would have made it even harder.
Zach Steffen's not on this list, but he's your starter in the national team. It's interesting that. Who else is not on this list that I would have on this list in terms of minutes played? Maybe that's it. But, I would lean this towards Brenden Aaronson. It seems like one of those years, but if we know anything about awards, very rarely do we get the right one, especially in the soccer world. Looking at you, Lionel Messi versus Lewandowski. Again, I'm over it. It's not a big deal. But I think I would love to see Brenden Aaronson win this one just because I think about influence over this year. A player that's emerged, a player that's on a personal journey of exceeding expectation at the club level, a player that's exceeding expectation at the national team level, that's showing a dynamic and an excitement. When I think about the national team being exciting again and fun and just like just the energy around it, I think about Brenden Aaronson. And that's why I would give him this list. And I know that's not worth anything, like energy is not worth anything, but I still look at it as this is a guy that you want on the field all the time. It's going to increase your team's odds of winning. And it's gotten fans excited about all the things that we were accused of not having in 2018, which is fight, grit, mentality, all those types of things he has in spades. And so I would go with him because it's a rare opportunity. I think in 12 months from now, we'll see another player step up and do some incredible things. Probably be Pulisic again, but
or Brenden Aaronson's brother, Paxton.
There you go.
A lot of Aaronson kids out there we're going to be relying on here in the future.
But. Yeah.